Hi. Thank you. My name is Amber Hooker. 3 years ago, I was Amber Johnson. So that means I was either engaged when I got hit and he stayed with me, or I'm an undercover superhero. Take your pick. Hopefully today I can explain how blessed I am, rather than just say I'm lucky. It's not luck when you have God. I've slowly learned it's not luck when you have faith. I was hit by a drag racer at 109 miles per hour. I should have died, but God engineered everything that allowed me to survive. I was placed in a coma at the moment of impact, which is a blessing in disguise, since I don't remember it. My biggest injury was not my wrist, hips, or leg, but my brain. I graduated I'm here to tell you I'm more than what happened to me. I'm living proof that God can take broken pieces and create a powerful testimony. I may only be 27, but back in my day, this place is where I attended my very first cross-country practice when it was called Backracks. Back when this establishment was Backracks, it served as a place for me. I learned my greatest life lesson. That is to have a very positive mindset and how that mindset will help you through your toughest battles. Long distance running taught me how to push through any rough situation, especially one you don't know if you can go through it. I used this lesson in recovering from getting hit at 109 miles per hour. Let me set the stage. Can you imagine going for a 10-mile run, and on the very first mile, you say, "Oh my gosh, I am not feeling this today. I have 9 more miles," versus the person that says with a smile on their face, "Yeah, today is going to suck, but God will get me through it." Who do you think makes it to the finish line? You see, the enemy would love nothing more than for you to stay stuck in your pain, to believe that your story ends in tragedy. He craves your doubt. He wants you to question God's goodness, His timing, and His plan. But here's the truth. Even when I didn't understand what God was doing, He was still working. Even when I couldn't see Him, He was right there. To fairly talk about God, I need to mention we used to have a very rocky relationship. We didn't talk very much unless I dated him. Even when I did, I was mad at him. I didn't understand his ways. In my past, when I abandoned God, He did not abandon me. In 2020, I was offered a job at Prairie Central High School. It's about 80 miles north of here. Less than a week later, schools shut down. And then I received a phone call from St. Teresa, and they had an opening for my dream job, to be a teacher and a coach at my alma mater. The year 2020 is marked as a year for me that God spoke to me. I was finally listening this time. My husband, Ashton, and I started dating. We graduated from Millikan. I bought my first house, and I received my big girl job. As a reminder, my relationship with God was not always perfect, but He always loved me. 2020 is usually marked as the year with moans and groans. But 2020, for me, was when I chose to see it as a year I received some of God's greatest blessings. After graduating from Millikan during the COVID year, I had never prayed so hard to God to get the job at St. Teresa. Here's the beautiful thing that God does. He forgives. He always wants what's best for you. Better than that, you know the common saying, I trust God's plan? Well, what I've discovered is that it's actually your plan. Just God knows the future, and He helps you complete it and make a joyous situation out of it. So, spoiler alert, I got the job at St. Teresa. I taught theology or religion and social science courses and coached track and cross country. A song lyric stuck in my head when I talk about this is Ain't It Funny How Life Changes by Thomas Rhett. It's a happy song, but some people believe change is a bad thing. I would not go back and say, man, I wish I could change the past. I should have taken that job at Prairie Central. Then I would have never been hit. I've learned the long, hard way that the past cannot scientifically be changed. You know what can change? The future. You have free will. Life is a series of major choices, but God knows what you will choose. As I used to tell my students, life is either a series of major coincidences or God. I'll go with God. I watched the footage of me getting hit from St. Teresa's camera. In my case, the major coincidence was him hitting me in the most sturdy part of my car, the middle beam. This major coincidence was also me watching not one, but two cars pass by before I crossed Water Street. I used to wonder, how did I survive getting hit at 109 miles per hour when most people don't even survive getting hit at a high rate of speed? That detective on the case told me that my car chip gave back a reading, and I was 100% on the gas pedal at the moment of impact. Me punching the gas pedal at the very last 0.3 seconds was the difference of getting hit in the driver's side door, where I would have died, versus where he actually hit me. And I am here today. I don't know the exact reason why I've been through all that I have, but I do know that God placed people in my life to help when the car crash happened. Not understanding the full effects of my brain injury, in August of 2023, I went back to full-time teaching at St. Teresa. I became very quickly overwhelmed and was placed on leave. While placed on leave, I received a phone call from my friend and a former coworker. Her name was Tracy, and she was the principal at St. Pat's, where I coincidentally, that's that word again, was a member, went to school there, and recently got married at St. Pat's. I asked Tracy if she had a part-time opening, and the rest is history. In January of 2024, the man who hit me was being sentenced. The days leading up to the trial, I was distraught. I struggled to sleep, I couldn't eat, and I kept going over my victim statement. The day before the trial, I was a mess. In that mess, I heard God. I asked him, how will I face the man who hit me? And God responded. He said, view him as a child of God. View him as Jesus. And I flat out responded, what? Really? And he said, yes, he will help me. So I prayed to the Holy Spirit. After that, I could finally eat and sleep. The day of the trial, I felt calm, like Jesus was walking with me. That was a day of surprises, good surprises. The man who caused 2.5 years of hardship and struggle apologized. That day changed everything. I can't think of a better example for God perfectly placing people in your life at the right time, especially on that day. My greatest example is why he placed my husband, his family, my family, and Amber's Army to help my heart recover physically and mentally. All of them brought me close to God. Similar in a way, Jesus was surrounded by Peter, James, and John in the Garden of Gethsemane. We are called to comfort ourselves with the right people. During times of extreme anxiety, distress, and depression, my people were there for me to help me stay close to God, to comfort me in my time of need after the car crash. I would not have gotten as far as I did in my life without my support system, especially Ashton's daily presence, love, and support. Now, the car crash, that was quick, no memory of it, no pain. But recovery, therapy, working on myself every day when I'm used to helping others, that was hard. That was really hard. Recovery is a lot like a long distance race. You can't do it alone. I've done all sorts of distances. Let me tell you, the car crash was very similar to a 100-meter dash. Quick, not easy, but over in a flash. The recovery, that's a marathon. Loads of training over a long period of time. Waves of pain and not knowing when the hardest part will come. Not to mention the thought of questioning where the finish line even is. Recovery is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a good thing that I enjoy the challenge of running. I hope the hardest part is over. I try to remember Romans 5:3. There's glory in tribulations with God. With every uphill battle I've endured, the scenery at the top has all been worth it because of God. As the common saying goes, God won't put you through something you can't do. But the Bible tends to prove otherwise. God allows for the struggle to happen because a greater good can come out of it. God doesn't cause the struggle to happen. Free will does. But if you use God, a greater good can come out of it. For me, I chose the good. Ashton and I were married a year after my life had almost ended. I will have a baby in October of this year. And I have a published book coming out hopefully next month. God did not allow me to die when I should have. So instead of blaming him for allowing it to happen, I used him to see the good that came out of it. I realize now that God allows people to go through a struggle. Jesus was calling me to be a witness. I will finish on this verse I see every day I see at school. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.